Kevin, the main person, can you hear me? And welcome to the show.
Yes, I can hear you, Mike. Thank you very much.
Great. As I say, we're with Frog Live Radio, brought to you by Frog Recruitment, and today we are thrilled and delighted to have with us, beaming all the way from Fremont in California, one Kevin Wheeler. Now, Kevin has a current moniker that includes the word futurist. He is a writer, a speaker, and I would add a thinker on all things talent. And I would also say he's a global recruiter, which we'll learn about. Now, the one thing we like about his description that he and his colleagues use is that they are exploring the edges of talent. And I'm told that today Kevin's approach to predicting the future of talent and leadership trends is nothing short of fearless. Now, Kevin has a lot on his plate. One, he's the founder and chairman of the Future of Talent Institute, which since 2005 has focused on providing early insights into what is about to happen in the talent world. He is also the co-director of Australasian Talent, and if that's not enough, he is also the founder and president of Global Learning Resources, Inc. And Kevin comes to us today the weekend before he heads out to facilitate a Future of Talent retreat in Monterey, California. So welcome, Kevin Wheeler.
Thank you very much, Mike. It's a pleasure to be here, and hello to everyone in New Zealand.
Researching your profile today, Kevin, I looked at places like LinkedIn, for instance, which you obviously feature on, and it must be interesting to me because LinkedIn has a wonderful feature where they tell you what other people were being searched alongside Kevin Wheeler, and one Barack Obama, President of the United States, was being searched with you, Kevin. Did you realize that?
No, I didn't. My very good friend, Obama, yes. I've never met him, unfortunately.
Well, you're being searched in very good company today. Now, just before we start, this is about you as well, Kevin. So how we're going to run this today is we're going to start off, because we love to know about people such as yourself who are thought leaders in the industry. And first of all, how's your ankle?
It's much better, fortunately. I'm walking again, and it's still a bit sore, and I'm not quite as nimble as I was 3 months ago, but it's definitely making good progress.
Okay. What happened? Did you fall off skiing, or what was the story?
I wish I could say I did something really exciting like skiing or, climbing Mount Everest, but I was simply working around my house and tripped over a pipe in my backyard. Very unexciting.
So you didn't predict the pipe. Now,
I didn't predict the pipe.
What would like to know, we ask all our guests, is what was your very first job, and no matter how little you were paid, what was your first job and where was it in the world?
Well, my first job was, I had two sort of first jobs. One was delivering the newspaper when I was about 13 years old. I grew up in a part of America that's extremely cold. It's around negative 40 degrees in the winter. And I had to be up at 4:30 in the morning and deliver this newspaper to 70 people in my small town that I lived in. And I soon graduated to being a janitor in the local elementary school. And I actually did that all the way through high school as a part-time job. And it was it was quite good.
What part of the world was this, sorry? Where was
this? This was in New England, in Vermont.
Oh, God, it would be cold, yeah. Now, just so you've started off as a paper boy, now you're here today because you have a wonderful reputation as a thought leader, a thinker, a lecturer, a writer, a blogger. Can you tell us an aha moment? Did you have any time in your life that really set you off on the course has been responsible for you ending up here today talking to us and being listened to by, we think, about 500 to 1,000 people, by the way?
Well, it's interesting. I'm not sure if there was a single aha moment, but it was certainly a cumulative number of moments that built up over the years. In university, I was a political science major and thought I might become a lawyer. And I entered law school and decided that it was absolutely the most boring thing in the world, and it was not for me. And then I joined the American Peace Corps, and right after that, and was sent to Thailand, where I lived for about 7 years. And my wife is Thai, and I speak Thai. And it was that was probably the most formative experience of my life, was living in Asia. Coming from New England in, very insular, rural part of America in a small town of 900 people, to suddenly be in basically the equivalent kind of a village in Thailand. And just the contrast between lifestyles and so forth was a huge awakening for me. And I think, people and learning have always been core to what I've really been interested in and what's attracted me. And also being creative, and I've always done photography and art, and I've always been interested in the arts. And so I think people and arts and creativity kind of have gone together to give me that future focus. Fascinated with technology. I love gadgets. I love I buy every gadget out there, much to my wife's chagrin. But that's really another thing that fascinates me as well. So I like progress in technology.
Okay, so what do you do if you jump on a lift and someone asks you what you do? How do you explain? Because, you do so many things. Do you call yourself a recruiter?
No, very rarely. I usually say that I explore the edges of talent, and that usually opens up quite a conversation. People say, what does that mean? And then we often get into a pretty good discussion. And I don't really think about myself as a recruiter per se, Mike.
Now, the next question is, in your world of working in Asia, working all over the world, what would be your first great important leadership lesson that you yourself learned or have learned the hard way?
I think that, leadership is really about helping other people. It's not about telling other people what to do. It's not giving orders. It's as you study leadership and they tell you it's about, coordinating work. I guess in a way it is, but it's really about helping other people achieve their potential. It's about helping other people see how, by collaborating with others, they can get more done. And I like to think of it as really the node in a network, the connector of people to get things done. And I think when you look at leadership in that way, as you're a conduit, you're a way to connect people together, I really look at how do I find people with different ideas and different thoughts and get them to work together in a harmonious way to achieve some common end. That's really what, to me, leadership is all about.
So tell us a bit about your current, one of your current, I was going to say pastimes, but current professions, Future of the Talent Institute. What was the catalyst for the creation of that? And give us a quick overview of what you do.
Sure. It was actually formed just about 5 years ago, and it was the result of a client. One of my clients just said to me, there's all kinds of conferences for practitioners and people who need to learn how to do things better, but there's really no forum for people who are involved in recruiting and learning and development and other talent-related areas to come together and have a discussion about trends, about the big issues that are going to have an impact on them and that already are having an impact on them, and a place where they can kind of get together with colleagues and have that kind of a conversation. And as a result of that discussion, I said, well, why don't I just try putting together a small group of people and connecting them together and not having a lot of formal agenda, but just coming together around a theme and talk about that. And so we did, and our very first retreat was 9 people, including me, very small, in a rural area here in California, and it was a huge success. People truly enjoyed just that, having a dialogue and not listening to lots of PowerPoint presentations, but having really smart people that are engaged in some area of thought come and talk with them and engage them in conversation. And so that's what we do. We bring together a relatively small group. This year will be about 30 people total, including me. Our theme is innovation and collaboration around talent. And we have some really interesting people who are not necessarily, most of them do not work in industry. Most of them you've probably never heard of. Some are in other fields like economics or other things, not in the HR space. And we come together and we just talk about, what does the changing nature of work mean for recruiting, for learning and development? What is the workplace going to look like in 5 to 10 years from now? What are some of the challenges that recruiters and other people in the HR area should be listening to or focusing on? And we just explore those edges out there of what's happening, not really focusing at all on anything going on today.
Look, let's talk about the recession in America, Kevin, and we'd love to know your opinion on lessons that are being learnt for recruiters because of the recession.
Well, I think this is a really fascinating recession here in the U.S., and whether it's typical of what's going on in the rest of the world or not, I don't know. I think we might be leading the way in what I think is a very fundamental shift in employment trends. And I think if we look very carefully at the demographics of the people who are not employed, they fit a very interesting category. And let's just talk about the picture here. If you are a relatively unskilled person, a maid, a janitor, a paper boy, whatever, you're probably finding that you're employed. If you are a highly skilled person with a trade or a profession or a very specific in-demand skill set, you're probably employed. The group of people that have been displaced is, I think, what we would largely call the middle class. And these are people who have a few years of education. They have some skills, for example, secretarial, administrative, machine operator skills. They're not without skill, and they're doing jobs that would be considered quite good and paid relatively well, and those jobs are gone. And that's where the bulk of the redundancies have been, and we're not hiring them back, which is what's the most interesting thing. And if you follow the news here in America, you see the corporations from Intel yesterday to others are reporting record profits, significant increases in revenue, and they're not adding staff. And so the real question is why? What's going on? And there's two big trends underway. One is that they're replacing people for the first time in decades with automated equipment, with machinery, with computers, with process improvements, doing things that we predicted they would do when the computer came out, but never actually happened. And suddenly companies are saying, we made these people redundant, and guess what? We're still able to get the work done. So why would we hire them back? So that's one thing. And the second thing is, wherever there is a need, it's being filled with what we call here contingent workers, which means part-time or temporary or consultant labor. And we've had a huge uptick. Probably a third of the American workforce right now is contingent. And I believe that will become the new form of work for many people. And many are opting to stay that way, even when they're offered a permanent employment job. So I think what's interesting from a recruitment perspective is you're going to be recruiting much more difficult to find in a smaller segment of people. And the agencies and the recruiters who focused on that middle class are probably going to go out of business or have